Okay, so the next game that I want to talk about, we have Penn State traveling on the road to take on Wisconsin. Wisconsin currently, as of right now, is a 4.5 point favorite. Now, when you look at Wisconsin last year, Wisconsin got derailed by COVID and injuries. You see, a lot of people have the misconception that Wisconsin doesn't really have a lot of talent at wide receiver or around Graham Mertz, and that's false. Okay, like Wisconsin has enough talent that they can challenge for the Big Ten. Okay, they're pretty solid at wide receiver with Danny Davis and Kendrick Pryor. You also have tight end Jake Ferguson, who is one of the best, if not the best, tight end in all of college football. So there is plenty of talent around for Graham Mertz to have success. Now, are they incredibly deep at wide receiver? Probably not, but they do have a solid supporting cast around Graham Mertz. You see, what threw off Wisconsin last year was COVID and injuries. Okay, you had Graham Mertz who came down with COVID. He was out for a pretty significant amount of time, and then you had injuries to some of your key players, and that kind of is what derailed the offensive production for Wisconsin last year. So as long as everybody stays healthy, I think that Wisconsin's offense should definitely improve, because Wisconsin offensively wasn't the team that we are accustomed to seeing. Okay, when you think of Wisconsin football, you normally think of a team that likes to run the football down your throat, doesn't have a lot of turnovers. And that's something that we saw a lot of Wisconsin last year. So I definitely feel like they should have those issues taken care of. And on top of that, I think with Graham Mertz at QB, I think they really have found somebody who can get them over that hump. Because if you want to be able to win a conference title, be able to make it into the college football playoffs nowadays, you have to have an above average to star quarterback, and I think that's definitely what Graham Mertz can be. Like, I think Graham Mertz may be the most talented quarterback that Wisconsin has had since Russell Wilson transferred a couple of years ago from NC State to Wisconsin. So I believe in Graham Mertz. I understand, last year had some ups and downs. He was really good at the start of the season. Then the second half of the season, he kind of fizzled out. But I think with everybody coming back fully healthy and having a really good offensive line, he should have a really good year. And same thing for Penn State, okay? Sean Clifford kind of had an up and down year. He started the season not really slow, but he started to pick things up as we neared towards the end in the second half. So in this game, I think that these two quarterbacks, with the supporting cast that they have around them, they should be able to have pretty solid games. But the thing is, with Sean Clifford, he's going against one of the best defenses in all of college football in Wisconsin. Wisconsin last year, in my opinion, had the best defense in the nation. That defense was absolutely lights out. They were good against the pass. They were good against the run. Wisconsin's defense this year should pick off from where they left off last year. Now, they did lose a couple of players, but the majority of the defense should be back. I think they're going to be returning at least 8 or 9 starters, I believe. I don't really know the number exact. I know it's either 8 or 9, but Wisconsin's defense is going to be phenomenal. And when I look at Penn State's offensive line going into this game, I'm kind of concerned about it. Okay, they have talent at offensive tackle, but the interior of the offensive line concerns me, especially at guard. So I don't really know how that's going to fare against a very good and stout Wisconsin defense. And on top of that, when you look at Wisconsin, if they get into a shootout with Penn State, I don't think they're going to win. And the reason why I don't think they are capable of winning a shootout with Penn State is simply for the fact that I really like Penn State's corners. You have cornerback Tyreek Castro-Fields. You got Joey Porter. You have safety Waquan Brisker. So Penn State's secondary is pretty solid. And I kind of question if Wisconsin has the horses offensively to be able to get into a shootout with Penn State if the game goes in that direction. So if this game teeters towards somebody having to be able to crack 40 points or a high 30-point mark, I probably would roll with Penn State, simply for the fact that I think that this offense is built for those high-scoring affairs. I don't really think Wisconsin's offense is built for these high-octane games where you have to be able to score a lot of points to win. So that's something that I am going to keep track of during this game. It's going to be the cornerback position of Penn State against the wide receivers of Wisconsin, because they do have two solid ones in Danny Davis and Kendrick Poyer, but I want to see if they have any more depth outside of that. Now, at the same time, is Penn State going to be able to get pressure on Graham Mertz? Because Wisconsin has one of the best offensive lines in all of college football. Penn State, on the other hand, they didn't really have a great pass rush last year. They struggled to get pressure on the quarterback consistently. And when you look at Wisconsin, if they're able to get that run game going and Penn State struggles to stop the pass, then Wisconsin is going to have an absolute field day against Penn State's defense, and they're most likely going to win the game. Because when you think about Wisconsin, if they're able to get that run game going in this game, something that they kind of struggled to do last year, they're going to be able to control time of possession, and that's going to limit the amount of possessions that Penn State's offense is going to be on the field, and that's going to gas out that defense really quickly. So for Penn State, okay, I think that pass rush has to definitely find a way to get going, because the pass rush wasn't going last year. So this year, I'm trying to figure out where's that pass rush going to come from. Now, the next thing is going to be, okay, which team can get the run game going? Both these teams' run games were pretty average to below average, to say the least, especially for Wisconsin. They were 64th in the nation in rushing yards per game, which is a really disappointing season when you think about how effective Wisconsin has been over the last couple of years of running the football with guys like Melvin Gordon and Jonathan Taylor. So for Wisconsin this year, with the offensive line improving, the offensive line wasn't bad last year, but with the offensive line pretty much about to become elite, that should improve the running game. And with the running game improving, that's going to open up shots for Graham Mertz to attack the field using play action. And I also think with Wisconsin and helping out in the run game department, that's going to help this team out in third down situations, because Wisconsin had one of the worst third down offenses in all of college football last year. So when you look at that Wisconsin third down offense, if you're able to run the football effectively, if you get down to a 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4 situation, you can still choose to either pass the football or run the football if need be. And I think Jalen Berger could be out for a breakout season. Last year, he wasn't all that bad, but with the offensive line improving this year, I think he's probably going to end up being one of the more underrated backs in the country. Now, for Penn State, okay, if you can get your run game going, that's good, but I don't think it's a necessity in order for them to win this game. Like, even if they do have to throw the football, I still think they have a good shot at winning, even if the run game isn't effective, because they have a lot of depth and a lot of guys who they can rotate in at wide receiver. Versus Wisconsin, they only have like 2 good options in the pass game at wide receiver, and then you have Jay Ferguson there. So I think for Wisconsin, it's more important that they get the run game going compared to Penn State. So when I look at Penn State, okay, this is a team that was really good offensively at times this last year, even though you did have some inconsistency at quarterback, but overall, this is an offense that is really dynamic and really explosive. Now, Wisconsin's defense is still going to be really good, so me personally, I am going to take Wisconsin to win this game. 20-13 is going to be my final score prediction. I'm really high on Wisconsin's defense. I feel like Wisconsin's defense is going to be able to force a turnover or two. And on top of that, I just don't really trust Penn State's defense to be able to get off the field and be able to get key stops when need be. They weren't really good getting pressure on the quarterback last year. Hopefully that can change. But even then, I think Wisconsin's offensive line is just so dominant that they're going to be able to maul their way over the Penn State defensive line. So I think that Wisconsin is going to end up getting the victory 20-13. You guys let me know who you guys have winning this game down in the comment section down below. And this game could probably go either way, but I just trust Wisconsin a little bit more. Even though they don't have, as dynamic of an offense that Penn State has, they have a way better defense and they're way better up front. And for Penn State, their offensive line is still pretty shaky. Okay, you have tackle figured out, but I don't know how the guard position is going to be looking for Penn State. So I just think that Wisconsin is just going to be able to win this game. I think that they're going to be able to play the kind of style of ball that they want to, that we're accustomed to seeing from the Badgers over the last couple of years. Ball control, run the football, try to open things up with play action. And I don't really think that Penn State's defensive line is going to be able to handle Wisconsin's offensive line up front. So I'm going to take Wisconsin with the win here.